So it's been over a year now, and the Mario film has come and gone, and we have a sequel currently in development, which is not surprising since it was the second highest grossing movie of the year. Also, the highest grossing video game movie of all time, and the movie itself was good. It was okay. It was fine. Okay, it was bad.
Hello, I'm Nick. Been a big fan of Mario since ground zero, since I can remember. And this is my experience with the Mario movie and who I would cast in the sequel.
The first time I saw the Mario movie, I was actually a little upset. Like, I sat there wanting it to be really good, and it starts off with such promise. You have the great villain set up with Bowser, Mario and Luigi watching their commercial with their exaggerated accents. It has a great first act. Oh, the Mario family, like, I loved all of that. Anything that expanded the world of Mario as we already know it, I thought was great. But you quickly realize there is almost none of that after the first act. Sure, you see Foreman Spike, Brooklyn, the fam, and a little bit more of the Kong family and their dynamic, but that's it. Nothing else new.
And after the first act, how do I put this without being mean? To me, it kind of becomes Illumination background noise. Babysitter noise. Something to throw on for your kids.
You know in the Minions movies where the plot just hits a grinding halt because the Minions, like, learn Kung Fu or something? Yeah, that happens a lot in this movie. Mario and Luigi have like a Looney Tunes experience with a dog who hates them, which is just one example. Not to mention how rushed the story is. It's just goes once we get inside the Mushroom Kingdom, and there's not really a lot of explanation as to why things are the way they are. There's just montages. Like, why is Bowser evil? How did Peach get here? The Kongs exist. How? Why didn't Peach just leave from a warp pipe? Do the warp pipes go both ways all the time? Why are things floating? Little things like that, answers to those questions, could have made this movie much better. Like, Mario and Luigi find the pipe and they just get sucked in because. Like, what if Mario was the chosen one and the pipe only worked for him and Luigi and no one else, and then, you know, they find out at a later date why they were the chosen ones. But nope, just never explained and never touched upon again why the warp pipe works the way that it does. I know I'm being really negative right now, and I'm sorry, and I need to step back and give myself some perspective. It's a kid's movie. It's from Illumination. I went in expecting Toy Story levels of storytelling from a studio that hasn't produced a good script in their entire catalog. Except for maybe Migration, which shockingly is a huge step in the right direction, and even though it was a basic story, it was a good story. But that's not the point. So, like I said, I have my problems with the Mario movie, but one thing that's perfect about this movie is the casting. Everyone did their job in such a great way that I was honestly blown away by each and every performance. Obviously, Jack Black was a standout, but even smaller roles like Fred Armisen as a Larry David like Cranky Kong and Charles Martinet as Papa Mario, and Chris Pratt, who I was, and the entire internet was very weary of that call, did a really good job. It's me. I think it was a 10 out of 10 for casting across the board, just A+. Maybe there's another day where I properly review the Mario movie because just so much to love. The music, the animation, the Easter eggs. But in my opinion, there's equally as much to dislike, if I'm being honest. It's a conflicting feeling. Honestly, to harp on Migration for a little bit more, it's what makes me so upset. Illumination proved that they can make good stories, but that movie was also their lowest grossing film, so they're probably never going to go back to that good script formula ever again.
Which is what brings us to our next order of business, the sequel. We all know it's going to have a sequel. It ended with an end credit scene.
What's wrong? You're never going to believe this.
I believe it.
Not that one. There you go. That one. Cliffhanger. Yoshi egg. You love to see it.
The sequel to the Mario film is obviously going to expand its character roster, just like every Mario Kart and every Mario Party before it. So let's go through and lay out who I would cast in these iconic roles.
You may be asking yourself, what criteria does this man have with the Lanky Kong photo and the Mario Golf poster? Well, I've been working in film and TV for the past 8 years. Some stuff you might have heard of. Grey's Anatomy, American Idol, Army of the Dead, Power. I made a short film nobody saw, and I graduated from USC Film School. So, at the very least, I think you should pity me.
Let's get started with the one character we know is confirmed will be in the sequel, Yoshi. Yoshi should and probably will be the same voice from the video games, which is what I would love to see. Don't give Yoshi a voice. He's not Donkey Kong. He's Yoshi. Just have him make the cute sounds. Okay, moving on. Wario. Who is Wario deep down in his core? He's a gremlin-type screwball man who only has desires for greed and power. To me, that's a dream role. You get to just ooze sleaze, you create nothing but conflict, and you have almost entirely grotesque desires. Deep, deep, deep down, maybe he has a heart of gold. Maybe, if you want to interpret that in some actions in his spin-off games. At times, he does have somewhat of a heart. But really what he loves is cold hard cash, and honestly I don't blame him after going through a pandemic and an industry-long strike. I too yearn for the green. So if you've watched Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I think Danny DeVito is essentially playing a real-life Wario in that show. He's a literal warthog, and it would be the role Danny was born to play. Danny has been my top choice for the character because we've seen him play this before as Frank in Always Sunny. And he's great at it. Plus, Dan DeVito and Charlie Day already work off each other so well from that show. It's 15 seasons of great chemistry from Always Sunny. It's a match made in heaven for me. Another option for Wario, Bobby Cannavale, a great Italian actor who's got some great comedy chops. We've seen him be sleazy in Old Dads, and he has the anti-hero vibes from Ant-Man. Wario was originally German, but I don't think they're going to go down that route in this story, so having him as another Italian from Brooklyn makes the most sense to me. Pedro Pascal is also an option that's been tossed around. We've seen him teased by the cast and asked for by the fans. But might I ask, what fans? Fans of Pedro, maybe, but I'm not sure any Wario fans really want him to play Wario. Sure, he's a hot dude with a mustache, and some could argue that is Wario as well. I mean, I'm sure some would say Wario is hot, but he doesn't embody the character to me as much as the last two options do. His work on SNL was pretty great. I think he's got great comedic timing, and he is having a moment right now, but regardless, this would be the safest option and least fun, in my opinion. I'm gonna throw a curveball at you with this one. Sebastian Maniscalco as Foreman Spike turning into Wario? I know technically him and Wario are different characters, but think about it for a second. Foreman Spike lets himself go a little bit, he has this belly, and now he turns his company into Wario Bros Plumbing to try and bank in on the money that the Mario Bros are making by being local heroes, and that M to W switch avoids any lawsuit against Mario. It could absolutely work plot-wise, but you have Sebastian already saying that he doesn't think he's going to be in the sequel, so my idea is kind of ruined from the jump. And then I got a wild card pick for you. Matt Berry from Toast of London or What We Do in the Shadows. He could play any role and I would love it. I would rather him play like a very dramatic King K. Rool in a dream world role, but I just don't think we're ever going to see the great King K in a movie, unfortunately. I think he could make a great Wario, too. Matt Berry just needs to be cast in more stuff, period. He is such a good voice and a hilarious actor. Moving on from Wario to his possibly brother, possibly roommate, possibly no relation, Waluigi. Waluigi is a sneaky, shrivelly, snarky guy, slimy, another good S-word to use to describe him. There's a little more class in Waluigi versus Wario. He likes to pull out roses during his victory animations in some Mario parties, which is just really bizarre. Maybe we don't see Waluigi in the next movie. Maybe they just think Wario is enough on his own, which I would totally get. But I think it'd be a huge missed opportunity to not have the Wicket Bros together. Yeah, they're not the Wario Bros. I'm pretty sure if you're going by lore, they've only ever been referred to as the Wicket Bros and not Wario Bros. Go figure.
So for Waluigi, you need an actor that lives in slime, a good liar, also sneakily has some class. First and foremost, my brain thinks of me, but after me, I would give it to Steve Buscemi.
Buscemi has some of the greatest range an actor can have. I mean, the dude was on Sopranos and then is in the Adam Sandler movie Grown Ups. He's snively. His voice would be a great fit for Waluigi. And him and Dan DeVito, both East Coast Italian dudes, working together for this role would just look and sound great. I mean, the red carpet photos would be perfect. Steve Carell's a safe call. He worked with Illumination a lot with the Despicable Me movies, and he's a well-known A-lister. He also might be too expensive for the budget, but he's great with Gru, and he shows with that role that he can change his voice, so you're not just getting regular Steve Carell, Michael Scott. I'm not sure he's as nasally as a voice for Waluigi, but I don't doubt that he can get there. Similar to Carell, maybe too expensive and big to be like the 9th lead in this animated movie, but Jim Carrey. I mean, we've seen him do it with Eggman. His Eggman is fantastic. He plays villain roles so well, and he brings his own Carrey energy to each role, which also maybe points against him. Some would say his Eggman is less Eggman and more Jim Carrey. Like people said that he did the same thing with the Riddler role, but I don't know. I think he's so good as Eggman, and I never feel like he takes over a role too much. He would be a great addition, but I don't know if they want to reach that high for Waluigi. Also a great example of Carrey changing his voice for a voice acting role that comes from a really underrated movie. Horton Hears a Who. He's really good in that. Next on my Waluigi list is Glenn Howerton. Another actor with fantastic range from Always Sunny to Blackberry. The man is underrated in the space. I know I've been operating like Danny DeVito has the Wario role already, but to have Danny, Charlie, and Glenn all in the Mario movie working off of each other similar to Always Sunny would just be something I would love to see. Also, getting Glenn more work in general should be happening. The man is so good to be sidelined by Hollywood. So yeah, I mean, Waluigi has a lot of options in my mind, probably the most in this whole video. We don't really know Waluigi that well, which is kind of nice because he becomes this blank space that can be used for an actor. There's a bunch of ways you can go with him. It's all really exciting. I just thought of another one right now as I'm recording. Bill Hader. Bill Hader could be a great Waluigi. Next down the list, we have Diddy Kong. Diddy has had an erratic history, but he's been DK's right-hand man for years. It's funny, while Luigi kind of lives in Mario's shadow, Diddy accelerates as the number 2 and never feels like a sidekick, but more of a hero himself. In the Mario movie, they straight up made Luigi a damsel. Diddy has become his own video game hero with a popular spin-off and even led an entire Donkey Kong Country game on his own. Luigi's spin-off in Luigi's Mansion just kind of made him more of a wuss, while Diddy Kong Racing makes Diddy just seem so much cooler. Dude hangs out with Banjo and Conker on a side mission. Baller. So for Diddy, you need somebody with a childish voice, but also somebody that can be a little abrasive. For me, there is only one right answer, and that's Michael Cera. We already know he has great chemistry with Seth Rogen, and with the talks of a potential Donkey Kong movie after the Mario movie sequel, you need somebody who can actually bounce off of Rogen, not just a hired gun. Which is why, for me, Cera takes the cake. His role in Lego Batman shines the brightest in terms of bringing Robin to life. He plays him like a kid, but with so much more whimsy and cheer than normal kids have. If he brought that to Diddy, I think it would work out so well, with a little bit more snark than the Robin role. But overall, I think Cera really is my only answer to this question. I know technically Diddy had a speaking role in the first Mario film, but
Sorry.
they will recast that role if they make Diddy a prominent character. And like I was saying, Diddy is tough because you could also go with like a childhood actor like Jack Dylan Grazer, or just go balls to the walls and grab Timothy Chalamet. I don't know. Timmy might be too big of a star now to play Diddy Kong anyway, or maybe he want to do it. Who's to say? I mean, Timmy could also be a good Bowser Jr., but we'll get into that later. To me, Michael Cera has to be Diddy Kong. I don't know how else you can go with this character without disappointing me, I guess. Keep it churning with Toadette. We don't know a whole lot about Toadette, the character. She first appeared in Double Dash and has been a helpful Smurfette figure in the games ever since. I always read her as a cunning character, similar to Toad. No fight is too big for her to back down from, and she will stop at nothing to protect Mario, Peach, and the rest of the gang. For me, there really is only one actress I'd choose to voice Toadette, and that's Jenny Slate. Jenny Slate is amazing in pretty much everything she does. She has the comedy chops from SNL, Parks and Rec, The Nick Kroll Show. Plus, she's done a lot of voice acting work already. Zootopia, she's really good in. Plus, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Come on. She has this Toad-like voice already at her disposal, so I trust she could bring a great performance to Toadette. If they're not really thinking that much about the role, and you just want to throw a marketable 20-something star at it, which I'm sure, like, you know, is possible, Zendaya, you know, but that just sounds more like a choice coming from a boardroom as opposed to artists who are taking the time to find someone who actually fits the role. Kristen Bell, too, sounds like a boardroom pick, maybe too similar to her Frozen role anyway. Oh, and the obvious one that will make everybody mad and probably the most likely to happen is Awkwafina. Listen, I think she did a really good job in Kung Fu Panda 4. I wouldn't hate this personally. I just don't think they should do this to avoid the negative press, because I feel like now Awkwafina is being forced onto the audience in every animation role as opposed to people asking for her. But she, you know, she was just in Migration, so it's not like Illumination hasn't worked with her before. It's very possible that she is our Toadette, unfortunately.
Daisy. I love Daisy. Unfortunately, Movie Peach kind of took a lot of the qualities from Daisy that we know from the games and made them her own. Being like a bit of a punk rocker, standing up for herself, being a fighter, a little spunky. But having two rock star princesses is better than zero, in my opinion.
I always read Daisy as Peach's spunkier counterpart. Anyone that's ever played Double Dash can pinpoint her as an annoying go-getter. But that's what we love about her, you know? Not a care in the world, just a powerful girl boss. Are we still saying girl boss? Who doesn't need no man but falls in love with Luigi anyway. A real yin and yang situation with those two. For Daisy, a couple people stand out for me. Jennifer Lawrence, maybe my number one. I go back and forth between her and Brie Larson. I think both of them can be smug while also lovable. You want someone that can go from 0 to 100 real fast, you know, throwing bombs while driving Mad Max style, then also sit down, have tea in the very next scene. Kristen Stewart is also someone I would bring in for a read to see if she has the Daisy manic energy in her. She's been a top quality actress in my mind ever since Adventureland. Also, if they're not going to cast Jenny Slate for Toadette, I think Jenny Slate could be a really good Daisy as well. After Daisy, I think Bowser Jr. is also probably somebody that will be in the sequel. And listen, I'm not like gung-ho on Bowser Jr. being in this sequel. It opens up a lot of strange questions that they likely won't answer, much like the last movie. But he's a prominent character in the theme parks and in the games, so there's a real chance he will be added to the sequel. It's like, we don't know who his mom is, and he knows it's not Peach, but like, I don't know, man. Sunshine's plot raises more questions than answers. But yeah, mainly, the kid's a brat. He's always been a brat, but he also kind of admires Mario, which is an interesting new tidbit that they added. It's a little tricky, but you need a kid who's going to bring negative energy. I honestly could only think of one actor, young Sheldon, Bazinga. I mean, I don't know. He's an annoying kid. I don't watch enough stuff with young actors, so I'm really sorry about this one. Maybe somebody from Stranger Things. I'm going to throw in a bonus. I don't think we're going to see Toadsworth in these movies, which is a shame. Peach's only father figure is just getting no love. But Michael Caine as Toadsworth would be amazing. I know, or at least I think Michael Caine is retired. I'm not sure. If he's not retired and you want to bring Toadsworth into these movies, please let it be Michael Caine. That would just be, like, mwah, chef's kiss. So, yeah. Those are my potential picks. If I had full range and total control to cast the next Mario movie, I think this is how I would lay it out. Wario, it's got to be Dan DeVito. I feel like this is a no-brainer and probably the most likely prediction that I'll get correct. Especially because he's also just been in Migration for Illumination, so they have his number. They worked with him before. Waluigi? Buscemi, Glenn Howerton. It's funny. After all of that and all the work I put in for those actors, I'm going to go with Bill Hader. I think Bill Hader is my top choice for Waluigi. He's just so funny and he would be fantastic. Diddy Kong, Michael Cera, no question. Toadette, Jenny Slate, moving on. Daisy, I'm going to go Brie Larson. I think she's the best fit for it. I really like what she did in the Marvels. Bowser Jr., young Sheldon. Toadsworth, Michael Caine. And then King K. Rool, Matt Berry.
So, yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments who you think you would cast in those roles, how I did. Yeah, I'll pin the best one, if there is a best one, if people care. Consider subscribing and liking and sharing and all that fun stuff. I'm going to be here for a while making these videos. I'm having fun, so hopefully you guys want to join the ride. And yeah, hopefully the Mario sequel is better than the first one. Peach, understand, I'm gonna love you till the very end. Peaches, 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 peaches. What about Rosalina? Oh, maybe Rosalina could be Chloe Grace Moretz, or maybe that girl from Ant-Man 3. What about Ella Fanning?